morning to CBC Breaking News today. We will look at some of the problems that have taken place in 1914 today on behalf of the woman's story. Good morning. Today with me, Hani Lasnaini. Welcome to CBC Breaking News. In 1941, during World War One, Canadian women began to make their movement which called feminism pacifism. Feminism pacifism started in 1914 when women were struggling to find peace during the Great War, and women across Canada took protest action to seek to establish peace. Women's solidarity to find love and peace during World War One was widely sought to recognize and acknowledge. World War One, a period of global conflict, became the catalyst for the establishment of women's rights. This affected Canada well as rest of the world. Most women in Canada and around the world were united in their desire for peace. The fact that Canadian women were badly traumatized during the war is not disputed. But also women took on male roles. During this time, war which advanced the cause of women's rights. In 1929 to 1945, the main achievement of women during this time was to secure rights including the right to vote equally, starting with the Quebec province election in 1940, and to build a strong society. Women's rights were not only a problem, but also a major political conflict. There were many issues about women's rights such as abortion, freedom, healthcare problem, racism, violence, and the struggle against right to be male or female on gender preference. What remained the same was that many women in Canada and other countries were still struggling to secure jobs that matched their skill and experiences. But World War II changed the lives of women in many ways when they worked as nurses and medical staff from 1929, Canada Report. During World War II in 1945 to 1982, where propaganda are big and make a huge impact on how women can raise their voice and to be well recognized. Rosie the Riveter, for example, was a big name and culture icon on a symbol of we can do it. In the whole of Canadian history for women, Rosie the Riveter is probably the most important symbol of women equality and large influences figure showing how women were equal to men. Although women were using clothes of feminist style and used lots of makeup, the message was that women could do anything they wanted and have the same equal job as men. Images of women works are widely distributed in the media as government posters, and commercial advertisements were widely used by government to encourage women to volunteer for wartime service in the factory. Today in CBC Breaking News Hard Talk, we're going to have a joint with a Canadian woman and big influence woman as well as activist and also author who was involved during the 20th century where women want to raise their voice by using propaganda and poster. She was also a female suffrage. She was known as the famous five who petitioned successfully to have women declared as a person. Here join us Nellie McLean. Welcome to Heart Talk. So, would you please tell me what is the whole propaganda behind this issue and behind the poster of we can do it and what is exactly Rosa Riveter means to all women, Canadian women, and the whole woman in the world, including me. First of all, Henny, thank you for having me in CBC Hard Talk today. So the issue that surrounding the propaganda and its uh, persuasive influence was a complex situation here. At that time, we can do a poster, which is Rosie the Riveter. It did that more than just inspire whole woman, including you as well, right? In these regions, and it also influenced the world about equality of women and men during World War II. Despite the fact, history, and story behind the poster, Rosie referred there as the influencer. Women are still not treated equally at the workplace. What did you do as a politician yourself and making it as Rosie the Riveter and yourself as known as the five famous people or a person included? Here's the thing, Henny. The answer to your question is that from what I know as a Canadian politician myself, I've been dealing with the issue of uh, women's right as I, as a woman myself. I want to make a difference from our country, especially as a Canadian. In like by campaigning on women's right using propaganda, this we can do it, which it means a lot to me and to other women as well. So it is a symbol of a woman future. Mentioned earlier before that women are still not treated equally in the workplace. How and why exactly, like what is it, what it means, and what other continuity and change that Canadian women will achieve this kind of process. Do you actually think that Rosie the Riveter is very helpful and worth it for all Canadian women and the rest of uh, world women in the world? Despite the progress and that made during World War One and beyond, was women are still discriminated against based on their gender, as they want to be female or male or others. Women are weak and should stay at home. That's what my husband used to say actually. With men being painted as stronger and having the ability to do the hard work. Between 1960 and 1985, a woman movement known as a second wave feminism involved, and this included a campaign, a poster, a propaganda, a protest, and to supporting peace and equality for women's rights, dismemberment in education, employment, and stopping a violence against women in history. So, since Rosie the Riveter in 1940 has stood as a symbol for a woman in the world, for work and independence of women itself. And I think Rosie the Riveter has been a big influence for everyone, for women in the world, for women in Canada who can do equal job as men included. Although during the baby boom in 1946 to 1964, the symbol was forgotten, but many Canadian women itself still thankful that Rosie the Riveter exists, and it's a very helpful influence for women to stand up. Great, alright, well, thank you so much, Nelly. Thank you for coming. I hope Canadian women and the rest of the world will have the right to do the same equally, including myself. So, fashion, we all know that it means we wear it every day, we choose what we want to wear and how to match a proper fashion style. Women fashion in the 80s was very popular with their good style. On a vintage of the 80 to 90 times, this period was when it comes to expensive clothes, glamours on the world of women, and fashion included. Women in the 80s expressed their appearance, image, wealth, success through jewelry, hair, and clothes. They chose, and this grew into a trend, which also was seen as a symbol of the power of women. Women fashion was very popular and became a huge market within the Canadian economy and the rest of the world. The women fashion industry had a big influence on the women and the way that they were treated as equal in the workplace. Advertisement for women fashion was still in a massive trend in consumerism, and is the best symbol of lifestyle and success for designer and wealthy people. Fashion gave women confidence. Fashion empowered women and to improve their career in the career of fashion itself. But at the end of the day, women fashion wasn't only make Canadian great, but there are also negative effects on how fashion started and how we end up as a bad fashion. Fashion created a conflict before the 20th century. For example, because men thought that it was not a good thing for a woman to wear show their personality by how they dress. This is also relevant today, where Asian fashion can sometimes be influenced by new generation of young women who wear inappropriate clothes that can affect their culture and identity as a whole. What has changed in women's fashion in over the years? Fashion has become a way of expressing oneself, making people feel more attractive and allowing individuals to follow new frequent and changing trends. The history of fashion has made a big impact how fashion is today, creating variety of lifestyle for everyone. I hope you like today news. Don't forget, always follow our breaking news on CBC A with me, Henny Lasnani. You can also find me on Twitter on Henny CBC A. Have a nice day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.